Viewers, welcome to Breaking the Chains. This is a platform we have initiated in the early January 2026, a platform to meant to decolonize the minds and discuss, the problems that we are facing as far as our society is concerned, and particularly the entire African continent. And today is our fourth live stream. We in commemoration of the African independence, and I'm very much glad to be hosting this platform. And honored to join me is Honorable Abduba, that is the youth parliamentarian for Sarakunda, and as well as Basiru. Basiru is a young Gambian who's really passionate about seeing this country transform, and he's among the founders of Belief for National Transformation, that is BNT, and I'm very much pleased to have them today in this discussion. So, gentlemen, welcome to Breaking the Chains. Abdul, you're welcome, and Bashir, welcome to Breaking the Chains.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Serif, and also my co-host Abdul. I think it's a pleasure to join you guys to discuss, on this very important cause. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abdul. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's indeed a great pleasure to be here to discuss about.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. So,
and the country at large.
Yeah, thank you very much. And viewers, today our discussion will be centered on African liberation and why is Africa still struggling. So the question that we'll be asking is, what's the problem? Is it because of leadership? Is it because of neo-colonialism? Is it because of the disunity that is, affecting the African continent when it comes to disunity among nations, disunity among tribes and political parties? And also, can we talk about weak institutions? Is it about the foreign exploitation? Is it about the failure of Africans themselves to unite? So what is the problem as far as the independence and total liberation of Africa is concerned? So I'll start with Mr. Ba. After having gained independence for almost 6 decades, what do you think, is the main problem as far as the true liberation of Africa is concerned?
Sharif, thank you very much. I believe it is very, very important for us as young people. I don't know whether I'm being heard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you are.
Thank you. So, it's very important, I believe, as young people, to get to discuss about the continent where we came from, where we are, and where we is important. And when you talk about what's the reason why you think we're still struggling, so which areas are really the cause of our struggle up to now? I would say it is not only leadership; it is part of it. Whether the African people is responsible for where we are up to now, I would say also is part of it. But I believe where it all originated, why we are here, it is important that we are able to talk about history. Because history is important to. And for me, I believe I know many people will find it funny or something like that. I believe it is out of our goodwill, from Sun Bahai, that good spirit that the African has, mono indifferent negative, that culture of openness, that culture of believing in humanity, mono indifferent. Because when you read history, when you look at history, you would understand when the Western people came early in the early 14th century. It was an open arm that we welcomed them, and we do not have any ill mind or ill eyes, towards them. So because we have that particular door policy at that period of time, they were able to have the opportunity to use our kindness, our openness, to later turn the tape. Many commentators would say when they arrived, they gave us the Bible and said, let us pray to God. And when we close our eyes to say Amen, before we bring them down, we found the chain, and that really contributed to why we are where we are, because we were caged. That played a very important part. You remember that slavery has taken millions of our people out of the continent, and that in its sense, you would say it was also a form of imprisonment, because if they were able to have that particular power to be able to take our people from the continent, with all what has happened in the slavery, we don't need to go into those details. We have read the history that they were able to take our people, take them out of the country in a form of slavery. Millions of our people that retard the development of Africa, that retard the trajectory rather that we were on. So you would understand the years that slavery has taken in the continent at that period of time. There were no means where our people were having that particular focus to develop the continent. No, because they were confronted with slavery at the period of time. So the Western people had that opportunity at that period of time to use that particular level in using our people, that is the human capital, was out of the continent at the period of time, and they were also exploiting our resources. You understand, at that period. So at that period of time, if you have read history, and I know if you would read history, you read more of the Western people that have written about Africa, but you would get to understand, even though they were very, very biased, that the African people at that period of time were in period of development. Because even at that period, that colonialism has not come on stage, just on slavery. I would say that people were even colonized at that period of time. Because colonialism is all about control. And we were controlled at a very early age of slavery, down to the stage of colonialism. Because remember, when I sit with young people in Africa, and when we sit on this type of platform, we don't really need to read encyclopedia, because we are talking about why we are still struggling. You have to look at the chronological order of the Western
Okay.
people. And I believe that the Western people were born on writing a script for the continent. Because look at slavery. And from slavery, where did we head to? Because when they were done needing our people, they moved to the Industrial Revolution. And there they told the Africans, we no longer need your people in Europe, but we need now your raw materials. You remember the Industrial Revolution was in the early 17th, 18th century. Now, when you look at that period of time, was also the period of time where the Western people were also fighting among themselves, also in Africa to a certain extent. And now that led to the Berlin Conference. And now when we head to the Berlin Conference in 1884 and 1885, now these Western people came at a round table in order to share the continent among themselves. Now, when you
So
look at that,
your conclusion
when you
will
look
be,
at,
like you
yeah,
saying, you want to tie the problem is the external interference in our own affairs, having the Western government still, having a say in both our economy, our politics, and even our social life, in the form of neocolonialism. Are you saying that?
of course, of course, of course. I would come to that one, but just to allow the discussion to flow and to allow Bashir to come in the question that you asked me, I would say one,
Mm.
it is dominance. It's what Frank Fanon said.
It is dominance.
You understand? The dominance. Because we
Okay.
were dominated at a very early stage of slavery and we came
Mm.
out of colonialism feeling inferior to the Western people. And until the time that we have understood the history and realized that we are not inferior to the white race or to the Western race, we will continue to have the problem that we have. So if you
All
would
right.
ask
Thank you.
me why we are still in the struggle
Mhm.
in this discourse and at this point, I'll just tell you it's the inferior mentality that Franz Fanon said in his book.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Let me bring on Mr. Jai. Jai, you heard Mr. Honorable Ba. He's saying the problem here is the mental inferiority of the African child. That is the very reason why we are still struggling. And he also tied it to the neo-colonial setup still in place, controlling our economy, our politics, and even our social life. So, do you agree with him or you differ?
Thank you as well for that wonderful deliberation. I think your discussion is apt. I think that is exactly everything because um, change begins with the mind. In fact, just yesterday I was in engagement with an article written, recently 2026, and I think the development definition is now more about you ask the person, whether he, realize a shift, a multidimensional shift within a short period of time, how he, assess his, economic status, his social status, his cultural status. So it's everything about the mind, and I think that describes it enough. So what I will be doing now is just to say, okay, if you looked at the deliberation, it has three facets. It has a political, there's a political chain, which obviously has to do with leadership. As well, there's an economic change, which has to do with development models. And as well, it has a kind of a a mental chain, I mean, a mental chain, which has to do with also, how we establish our educational system. And these are the three things that definitely where we get it wrong. Because like Abdul said, when we welcome them with arms wide open, for us, we thought it is just, they want to make relationship, because you get to know the culture of Africans. In Africa, if somebody visit you, you welcome them with arms wide open, because you think they are yourself. You think it is a reflection of you. When you look in the mirror, you see yourself. So that is our culture. So now we open our arms for them, but when they came with an idea, with an agenda, they were playing the game. For us, we were just trying to say, okay, it's just like when you have a guest at home. Danga wacha sagam bagam bi nga ne ko dalal na la mu tok nga jox ko añ teral ko moom su fekkee ne dafa ñëw with an agenda, yow danga xëy di ko nuyu moom mu ngi xëy di put the peons on, so that bala mu ñibi mu mun laa jeexal. So that is it. So that's what they've done to us. So we cannot help it. But right now, man, lu ma ko dee wax mooy dañ ñaaka systems pour génn si, because if we have the right systems in place, definitely right now we don't have any excuse, because xamuñu woon, now we know. We do not have the tools now. We've seen it, because you go to China, they do the exact opposite of what Africa did. Because China, they came to us equally. They went to China and they went to other countries. But China and Japan, they say, no, we can be friends, but I am myself, you are yourself. So we should create a zone where we go and interact. And that is why, if you looked at the evolve of China from 1945, when they established the World Bank and IMF, they say, okay, let's push away communism. China said, yes, that's right. But this, they used to call it the stock therapy, privatization, marketization, liberalization. China said, these are very nice words, but let them wait. Let me first put my house in order. And they established a dual track system. And that system said, okay, my individual young farms, they are very infant. I have to work on them. Once I reach the threshold, then they will be able to, privatize, they will be able to marketize. And then that was the top notch. They got it right. They tried to, because, for example, I just give you an example right now. If you looked at the model of IMF, which is if you read the agreements of agreements, that is the book that dictates how the fund is spent. If you looked at, the objectives of the World Bank, you're going to know that there are two ways in which an international fund can help, or Europe and America and Asia can help Africa. There are two ways. One way, it's called market integration. You ensure that you help Africans so that they can integrate with the European markets, so that they can integrate with the Asian markets, so that they can integrate with the American market. That's the market integration, mode of helping Africa. The other method is the structural transformation. That is when you're going to help them. They have a tailoring sector, which have a seasonality problem. That is, the tailors in the Gambia and in most of the African countries, they have two problems. They have one problem, that is seasonality problem. Yire bu ñoo ñaw pour fistla, tobaski, korite, and also our cultural events. So obviously, if there are no events like that, duñ am liggéey, they are totally out. So that becomes a seasonality problem. So how can you get to the Gambia as IMF, as World Bank, and help them move away from this structural problem? Anga man bu ma sol ni tay ñawkat bi dafa am problem pour ñaw ko, because it's the physio, the machines yum soxla, cutting bi and all that. So right now, tailor bi pour mu ñaw li dafa need xam-xam, dafa need dafa need machines, dafa need that all it takes to be able to ensure ne dina am the packaging and all that. So that man, because I cannot go to work every day my sol haftan, munuma dem the football my sol haftan. So out of the seasonal opportunities, jobs, da nga gis ne tailor bi dafa am problem by nature of his job. Legi pour nga mun ko allow mu shift, just like the way they are divining development, pour mu shift from having income during the two feast, nga xam ne every other day mu ngi am income loolu that shift, that is what development is. Right now ñu ngi wax ni teeloo yëpp ñu ngi rey seen boppa ñaakaa nelaw 3 days so that they can get as much as possible because xam nañ ne tobaski bi su leen rawee they have to wait for the tobaski next year pour ñu mun a gather some funds. That is a structural problem. Nga dem si baykat bi dafa am the same structural problem. Gambia raining season is 100 days su bayee du mun a bayaat fekk raining season ñëwut soo léegi kooku dafa am structural problem boobu bëgg naa bay waaye mënut a bay he hits the wall. So kooku dafa nit ku ko sift dimbale ko pour mu mun a sift from that to another something. So that's a structural transformation la soxla soo demee si mécanisme garage bi they have the same structural problem. Kii mu ngi liggéey but su liggéeyee he's getting the money in bits 500 300 400 800 monthly. He's richer than me, richer than you that is receiving salary. So kooku the problem is naka nga ko mun a create a kind of a collateral ba mun a interact with the bank ba mun a formalize boppam nga xam ne dina mun a am access to funds. Kooku noonu this investment of the hybrid cars daf ko put away because moom mécanique la jàng moom lu mu jàng mooy dafa xool mu def but xamul the technology. Léegi with this Chinese cars, with this European hybrid cars, léegi they all have a problem. Now they have hit the wall. Naka nga koy jàppale pour mu shift. This is what we call structural transformation. This is what Africa need. Because right now, as we are speaking,
yeah, thank you. I think that's a very insightful analysis because you're tying it on three things there.
Yes.
Talk about the leadership, talk about the economic model, and of course the mindset. We coming back to you. Just want to because you're almost on the side of Mr. Ba. I was thinking you disagree with him in some sense, but it's almost the same thing. But now, Mr. Ba, you have had Mr. Sanjay. He's well, structured, analysis. Tie it also on what you are saying that we have a structural problem, and also not only a structural problem, but also we have some kind of disoriented thinking as far as development of our own country, using our own manpower and our own resources, and added to it, learning from the model of other countries like China. You mentioned, when IMF and World Bank recommended a model, they said, okay. All these things might be very nice and all, romantic, but wait a minute. We have to look within our internal, dimension and see what best fit our own reality. I think such model. I think if we are to establish our own and achieve our own development, we should ask those people who are trying to impose a particular model for us to tell them to wait as China. And we craft our own model and see whether it suits our own reality. Thank you very much for that. So, to you, if you have to look at it again, because right now we have people talk about too much about corruption, and these are one of the things the young people or even politicians are always lament and accuse, government officials of. You think corruption is one of the biggest obstacles of our own development, Sabah? Zaba, are you there? It seems Mr. Ba is not with us. But you are with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, Serif.
Yeah.
Picking up from there, Mr. Ba is not responding. You talk about all the structural issues. Now, I wanted to look at what is the problem, corruption issue here, because as I said, corruption has been the main cry that this is one of the main problems of our government. So is it so?
I'm here, seriously.
Mr. Ba is with us. I think he can continue. I will come later.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Ba.
Yes, so what was the question? I think as Bakli was saying, this is our energy sector and also our telecom sector. So that will not be suffering from the issues, the networking.
Obviously, the networks, they normally, I think anytime you have an online discussions, it always I just hope it is not
Yeah,
deliberate. I just hope it's not
I
deliberate.
think it's deliberate.
Yeah.
It was, you
Mm.
know,
I think our hope.
whenever we are on national issues
Mhm.
or continental issues, trying to awaken the minds of the
Mm.
young people,
Mm.
we normally have network issues.
Definitely.
But if you are here creating songs and singing and dancing
It will
and
go very,
doing the opposite,
very
it's
it will go very fine. So what I
very
think we just asked, like, what is the as per your engagement with the national issues, how far
bad.
corruption has limited the progress. I think that is the
How,
question. How far
how far
corruption
mm,
corruption yes, how far
yes.
corruption has limit the process of our development. I think that is what Sirif was trying to put across.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was that's a great question. Now, when you look at it in the Gambia, many of us would say corruption, and when you ask us where is the evidence on paper, we don't put it on paper. You
That's
understand?
true.
But these are things that you don't need paper to present to know that obviously there is corruption, especially in the 21st century. I normally say for you to be able to catch someone red-handed, on corruption issue will be very difficult because technology has gone towards another level.
Mhm.
You understand? And if you understand better, and if you have been in organizations, especially young people like us, you will get to understand that sometimes you can steal billions and hundreds of millions through procurement. You understand that? And when you are asked to present the paper on that you can present the paper. How? Because one thing is today, maybe still people want to buy certain things from me uh, from the government side, and I'm a private individual and I own a business. Well, I know what kind of city, doesn't deal like the present on the paper, more than percentage. And when you come so you project yi noonu lay demee rek ay percentage la ay deal yu nekk di dem loolu noonu yëpp lan la ko gaay di ooyee loolu yëpp corruption la because tey sooy def loo xamante ne àndut ak loi te naka la tuddaati nit ñi nekkul di si gis seen boppa après nekkul di gis yow ko nga nekk di dugal loo wax ne foofu nga ko nekk di dugal benn loolu noonu corruption waaw corruption tamit nekkul kese si saaja xaalis waaw nekkul si loolu noonu kese parce que dafa rëy parce que suñ ko xool war koo diilal dinañ xool ay fànn yu bare waaye tey soo ko xoolee tamit si loo xamante ne hello yaa ma dégg
waaw ñu laa dégg
waaw jërëjëf
We can hear you.
tey soo ko xoolee tamit su tey dafa nekk tey suñu développement dafa nekk tey suñu développement waaw si fànn yu bare because tey gis nañ fi last time bi auditeur général bu mu demee ba release yenn information yu jógee ci audit office bi d'après mu propose tamit pour audit naka la tuddaati GRA ak beneen institution bi maa ngi pare beneen institution bala propose pour audit ko as an institution as a government
Maybe central bank.
central bank bi understand soo demee ba nga xamante ne refuse na rek dañ am na ay njuuj njaaj yoo xamante ne mi ngi am ñun tamit yoo xamante ne suñu xel read leen politics read leen history te xaw ma ne yaa ngi remember it was in 2023 suma juumut 2023 la ko juum I remember bu central bank bi amee that problème ñu ne nañ ko xaar ñi wala nañ ko xaar ñu ne nañ ko am problème ba xaalis da doon dugg si banque yi bank account yi nit ñi individuals yi normal citizens yi yaa ngi remember loolu waaw léegi loolu kan moo audit ana information bala lu gaay jox what was the justification ana xaalis yooyu noonu yëpp ana justification bi waaw ana 300 million boobu noonu toogoon lekk escape ana xaalis bu jógee ci naka la tubaati coronavirus bi waaw so xaalis yooyu noonu yëpp 56 million bi ñun Gambians bi toogoon ñun ñëpp suñu kër yi ñu gis health minister bi dem si parlement bi ne moom own ministère bi there is act of corruption ne am na ay yenn yoo xamante ne gars yi nañ ko luubal ne ko war a setal ana du ñun suñu kanam la woon ana 56 million dalasi boobu noonu lan wax si health sector bi what do you call that Basiru loolu noonu tey nekkul di affect health sector bi
sure
mais affect health sector is limited yaa ma la saan is dafa nekk di delay suñu développement tey si health sector bi tey gis nañ loolu noonu waaye loolu Gambia rek ngay toog understand nga capa ministre pour ministre dem si parlement bi wane ne moom ay njuut njaaj li ngay am si biir ministère bi understand ñu ñëpp ñu toog bàyyi affaire si mu dem noonu deful si dara kenn boppam dogut te su ma nee boppam dogut nag am seeni metaphorically kenn boppam dogut wa ma nu rey nit but in such cases am na ñoo xamante ne war nañoo daa gaay am na ñoo xamante ne war nañoo tii gaay yaa ma saan yóbbu leen si yoon nothing happened nothing happened
okay so with all those corruption with all those corruption that have happened so Basiru, do you think because of a structural problem or is it because of a failed system or what happened exactly? Why is the corruption too rampant?
Okay, so Serif, bala ma ñëw si loolu dama bëggoon a taay suma argument bi to this. Xam nga dama ne there is liberalization bi African liberation bi the liberation it has three facets. Benna bi it has political, that has to be leadership. Benna bi is economical, that has to do with our development model. Benna bi is about how we think, and that has to go in line with the educational model. Legi, so ñëwee si lu ma corruption boo nekk di wax ni that is touching the political aspect of colonialism. That is ñun we have a strongman game. And loolu it picks up from the colonial time. Xam nga ñoom bu ñu ñëwee ñoom ñu ëpp doole ñoom ñu ëpp jàngat because they have a kind of a ñun amoon nañ xam-xam sax ñu la ëpp xam-xam bon ñun suñu xam-xam bi alaynut yow noo ko xamee man nu ma ko xamee dafa different ñoom nag dañ indi education moo tax education du dara lu dul to align the thoughts so that su ma nekkee di defar computer su ma demee ba ma stop feena yow si ëllëgee mun ngaa continuer because ñu ñëpp dañu jàngal how we think in the engineering aspect of computer. So education loolu la dee def daf dee align thoughts because ñun Africa amuñu woon schools yi nga xam ne paa bu dee xelaatee fële si Jola culture kii di xelaatee si Mandinka culture kii di xelaatee in line with the Wolof culture amuñu woon lu ñu harmonize amuñu woon that educational basis so ñoom bu ñu ñëwee nag ñoom all of them dañ am an educational basics nuñ dee xelaatee so ñooñu munuñ because they are organized 10 of them sitting they speak in the same way ñun 10 of us we speak in a very diverse way because amuñ education so ñoom bu ñu ñëwee rek dañ ñu win in that arrangement so léegi because ñoom ñooñu win the way it is been set up so léegi ñun dañ ñu jàngal ne ñun dañ ñu war a toppa so bu ñu leen toppee nag that becomes a strong man because anytime yaa ngi agree on somebody not on principles not on a model yaa ngi agree because moom mu taxaw sa kanam nit la that is what we call strong man so because the nature of ñoom bu ñu ñëwee strong man la ñu impose ñun ñu nekk di yes ma yes sir they tell us what to do, they tell us how to think, they tell us, you know, whatever. So ñun dañ get used to that. So léegi ñoom buñ demee ñi nga xam ne ñoom lañ fi bàyyi ñooñu dañ ñëw rek continuer that ñoom tam ñu nekk di trop tubaab then nit yi tamit nekk, you know, they shift back. So then nit yi tamit to the government ñoom tam ñu present seen bopp as ok yow yaa xam man dama nekk sa gannaaw di la follow so ma ne defal ma bàyyi xam nga yaa ngi gis Sirif. So that is what brought the strongmanship. So ñoom bi
they came and imposed a kind of a model of leadership. We're only looking towards one person.
Definitely.
And then we are listening to that person to tell us what to do, what not to do.
What not to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and if the person disagrees, so we just had to let it go and follow what the person said.
Obviously. So you mean it was in the interest of Nifimeka for you continue so that they can hook people to that principle. Because smaller arrange, I'm a domarama. Look arrange moy. Su ko defé ken du ko query, ken du ko wax ne dul ni, ken du disagree, su waxé ñep ne waaw. Ñun suñu bakkan bi loolu la bo. So always even si kër bi sax, yow borom kër si kër bi sax at some point dang dey feel ne man am maa ngi nekk benn chef la si kër bi. But jabar bi dafa need loolu, dafa need pour mun a am a window pour wax la ne déedéet I disagree. Doom bi dafa need a window pour wax la ne non I disagree. Waaye loolu balaa moo am fekk ne set ngeen principle si kër gi. Nga xam ne yow papa bi sax soo wàccee principle bi doom bi mun naa gis ne kii day wàcce na principle bi because yéen da nga set principle si kër bi waaye soo demee si kër bi nga xam ne principle amut then everybody dafa xëy ar la yow borom kër gi pour nga wax lii la ñoo def lii lañ def soo léegi ñoom buñ ñëwee bàyyi fi that système bi demee léegi nag this système bu ñoo describe nii mooy this one man individualism strongmanship soo amee rek that's what we call abuse. Abuse.
Another thing I'll chip in there. That is when that happens, you find out even if you are in the institution, and then you see certain things that are very wrong, and you want to correct it, you'll be seen as the black sheep in the institution, and likely you might be being victimized or even isolated for standing for against that practice in the institution.
That is it. That is why right now, if you pick the Public Service Act. It says everything. It says the Gambia am na xaalis am ñaari yoon la day ñëwee mooy tax das jaaree job mu ne soo amee beneen xaalis loolu dafa nekk resource bu ñu am di ko jaay loolu mun naa nekk geology mun naa nekk any department buy def mining and what not so léegi ñaari bunta yi la war a xaalis di ñëwee loolu ak bi daf ko spell out léegi mu ne xaalis yooyu yëpp fu nga dajalee benn account rek la war a dem mooy di treasury main account with the central bank mu ne su demee si treasury with the central bank that treasury main account ñu ne kenn rek moo mun a am caabi pour dugga foofu mooy di cashier that is the accountant general loi bi mooy wax ne nekkul man de ak bi mu ne loolu su amee kan moo mun a am dogal pour wax ne xaalis bi moo war a génn xaalis bi moo war a dugga ñu ne the minister of finance mooy dictateur understand nga léegi xaalis xam nañ kan moo ko war a amee mooy jiyaare ak ñi nekk di mine di other sectors ñu ne xaalis boobu benn account rek la war a dem benn néeg that's clear mooy with central bank te benn account kese la war a am ñu ne account boobu kenn rek moo amee caabi bi moo nekk accountant general ñu ne kenn rek mooy dictate terms yi nga xam ne la xaalis di duggee xaalis di génnee mooy minister of finance kon sàcc warta am because néeg bi benn la nekkul ñaar caabi bi benn la moo ko amee kenn mooy dictate kon but still corruption mu ngi am loolu because there is of abuse moo la wax ne la li war a am yëpp am na Gambia am na Sénégal am na fu nekk but because of the strongman impact see everything because loi bi dafa am sa boss mu call la nga ne ko loi bi lii la wax mu ne la waaye fàtteel you are safe dinañ la protect nga sign check bi.
So are you saying that there is no accountability as far as looking at what these officials are doing is concerned? So anybody can
in a strong man setup Serif accountability that they am but accountability bi ba léegi nit bu ko war a enforce kooku dafa war a answer to the strong man bu mu war a account nga soo gisee accountability dafa am ñaari language for the fact that there is transparency loolu lañ dee wax ne su fekkee transparency am na loolu la ñuy wax weak accountability. That is what happened in the Gambia right now. Loolu la ñu nekk di jaay. da ngaa gis ministre of information mu ne non time boobu Jammeh kenn du dee wax ni léegi am nañ right pour wax ko but su fekkee ne am na lu xew am nañ right pour wax ko but suñ ko waxee ba pare ak ki ko def amul benn impact amul benn repercussion amul benn consequences. That is what you call false accountability now. That is why Gambia léegi duñ wax sax the accountability is weak but it's false because xam nga ne kii moo jël am nañ evidence de moo jël but because kii waayi borom waaji la waayi strong man bi la dinañ ko utal benn window bu nga xam ne dina fa mën a jaar stock xam nga understand so that is the moo tax suñ man always BNT what we argue is Gambia indil fii malaika du work foog ñu because foog ñu mën a understand ne the problem of the Gambia it's the fact that ne ñun we operationalize on the strongman nature of things te loolu benn disadvantage la am mooy loi bi sax dina because right now every time da nga gis ñu ne nañ leen amend law nañ leen bring policy they are there but the problem is not in the new policy the problem is policy boobu nit moo ko dee operationalize nit te nit boobu in the nature of the setup. For example, if you go to the Auditor General, can Moko employ? The government, head of state Moko employ. So despite that there are clauses in the constitution, you have to protect. We have lived an experience when the then Auditor General said, okay, man, buguma again, then ko force again ko. Lan mo si happen. Lan mo si happen. So da nga gis ni tay ko fa nekka barki démb rek maa ngi wax benn expert ma ne ko man dama gëm ne right now I have what we call cognitive empathy ci ñi because the reason why they are behaving the way they are behaving is because of the way the setup is mënuloo fi tarndeku because tey léegi auditor general bi ñaari option la am anytime he wants to go against Barrow his negative memory will bring in Modou Cissé as an example. If you go against him, you bring in Modou Cissé. I understand. But lady, your argument is we need to ensure that we don't encourage that by saying, okay, key, by nature of the setup, no. The idea is the why being hurt. Yeah. So legi mota when Abdul said is corruption, that's fine. But corruption is nothing but think of it like an abuse. Jox nañ ma doole maa ngi ëppal si doole bi is an abuse. So abuse boobu nag indi sàcca because xam nga ne soo sàccee dara du si génn because ki nga xam ne moo la war a hold accountable kooku seen yéen ñëpp seen boss ki nga xam ne boo sàccee moom nga favor boo sàccee moom nga séedoo seen own boss bi wax na la ne bul worry dinaa tekkee so yow da nga am confiance tey sàcce du dugga si néeg mukk feeg mu ngi gis borom kër gi mu ngi téye kuur taxaw di ko xaar so sàcce kañ la moo dugga mooy su demee ba mun a xam ne confirm ne gaa yi ba ngeen nelaw moo tax sàcce su duggee si kër dafay njëkk a taxaw xool ko defut xam na ne suñu dañ maa victimize so léegi government tamit xam nañ ne the big man is already abusing his powers, he's abusing his authority, he's abusing his everything. So therefore ñoom dinañ am confidence pour def lu ñoo def bu ko xam nañ ne anytime it goes to the level of accountability there's going to be that powerful hand that will either slow the system or ensure that some games are going to be put across here and there and then mu mun a go scot free loolu su ko xamee rek dafa tax mu mun a def lu ko ne.
Yeah, so now let's look at that. We find out now the resources that are within the African continent is huge, it's too much, right? Talk about gold, diamond, coltan, oil and everything. There's no resources that you mentioned that's not found here. You talk about certain areas especially in Coast Ghana, Nigeria, they have double maximum rain. You understand? And just those countries can feed the entire region or even the entire African continent. But you still find that we're importing the food we're eating, importing oil, we're importing almost everything we eat and everything we use. And it's as if we don't have the resources. It's like we being the richest and now still being the poorest. So if you have to tie it with the economic model you have just explained, how do you analyze that?
Yeah, there's a concept in economics we call resource cost.
Okay.
That is, it was first realized in Germany. They've seen that having resources is not enough for it to be able to benefit the people. So Lolo, when the last time when we had a program, it was explained that development the start from the bottom. First of all, do the people have the knowledge to think and solve a problem? That's the first question. If I should put it in the context of the Gambia or Africa, do Africans or the Gambians have the education enough to think and solve a problem? Do the Gambia or Africans have the healthy enough to work? So these are social factors. Then you need to ask the same question. Do the Gambian or the African have the skill to produce something? To write a book or write a paper, to produce something. And then you ask, now, how or do the African or the Gambian trust the institution enough to have the courage to participate in the economy? These four things, they are very important. Now, once these four things are in place, then that individual has capacity. Then once the individual have capacity, then homes will be stabilized. And if homes are stabilized, then institutions and farms become productive. Then if institutions and farms are productive, then markets become competitive, because consumers will have options. Be fosong dalala, be fosong dalala, be fosong dalala, be fosong nyawla, be fosong nyawla, be fosong nyawla. Then markets become competitive. If markets are competitive, then economy will grow. Legi, so fekkene nak am ngeen resources. Te gis nga lima la wax ni is not in place. This growth, you don't fix the individual health, you don't fix the individual education, you don't fix the stability at home, you don't fix the market, the farms and institutional productivity, you don't bring competition in the market, then there's no way that resource is going to impact the life of people. That's what we call resource cost. Dañ bàyyi xel ne economists dañ bàyyi xel ne dëkk yi nga xam ne am nañ resources, balaa ñoo am resources bi, they are even better than the resource bi. There is a cost the resource is coming with. That's what they call resource cost. That is mean balanga discover energy bi, balanga discover the hydrocarbon. Just like Gambia, ñun dañ gëm ne if you go to the Senegal, Gambia, Bissau, Conakry, Mauritanie belt, am nañ hydrocarbon. Ñun am nañ hydrocarbon. Dëgg la buñ gasee di Sumo and the Bambo wells, gis nañ lu ñoo yaakaarloo, waaye gisuñ any gas, gisuñ any hydrocarbon. Waaye ñun gëm nañ ne am nañ ko. Waaye léegi Gambia resource bi this a logic of economy is saying Gambia tey su demee ba am resources lu mel ni essence, Gambia is going to be worse than even nu mel léegi. That's what resource cost is, because Germany loolu moo fa xew. Li tax waral loolu mooy just pour wanal la am resources mu laa indil xaalis bu nga xam ne mu ngay ñëw ba pare waaye mu ngi limit to very few people is worse than when we have nothing but we all have small things, all of us. Because economy it depends on industrial sector, agricultural sector, trade. Understand? So most of the time labor bi luñ dee fay nit du dee bari, agriculture lim dee fay du dee bari. Léegi nag su dëkk amee resources ñu commencé di mine, léegi ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk si that sector mining dañ dee mun a present a good salary. Léegi ñi nekk si agriculture yëpp dañ dee buubu ñëw foofu, ñi nekk trade dañ dee buubu ñëw si mining bi, ñi nekk industrie dañ dee buubu ñëw si mining bi. Léegi nag mining bi daf dee jël liggéeykat yi nga xam ne ñooñu ñoo màcc si économie bi.
Understand that?
Yeah.
In that shift in labor force, that they create a lot of wealth, xaalis opportunity. Nit yi dañoo dem foofu am liggéey si mining am xaalis fekk na xaalis boobu fi nga ko war a spendee ñooñu jógee nañ fa léegi demand bi daf dee over supply bi léegi loolu daf dee shift system bi from domestic production to foreign imports. So loolu moo dee te economy bi weaken loolu dee that is what we call resource cost technically. So léegi ñun li ñoo wax mooy if you want resources, Africa resource bi mu am yëpp li tax mënut a benefit Africans because Africans are not capable. They don't have the education enough to solve the problem. They are not healthy enough to work. They don't have the skill to produce. Sirif, man la ñetta yi soo ko fixé. Ñetta yi soo ko fixé Sirif.
You mentioned we don't have the skills, right?
To produce.
To produce what we need.
Yes. We are not healthy enough to work.
We are not healthy enough to work.
And we are not educated enough to solve the problem.
Why do you say that? Because I believe me, we have all the.
Okay. No, Sirif, this one Dumoko defense that much because B is already out there.
Okay, go ahead.
University, they've just graduated 1,700 students.
Yeah.
There was a study 2016, 2019.
Yeah.
I cannot remember what were the number of graduates then, but hamnane, when they assessment, you graduate. And when you pass through university, obviously you've spent 16 years of education. Yeah. You were learning a skill. You're supposed to learn a skill to be able to think. While do they make a problem be more? Graduates, when graduate,
you say you must be learning, you must be able to learn a skill, you will think. So how does that match? Because having skill and thinking.
Yeah, no. You have a skill, its ability to think. Janga its ability to think and solve a problem. Sirif. Take it from me. No, kesala amud lenen. Gis nga engineer bu defar aeroplane dafa xelaat defar ko. Skill mooy the ability to arrange patterns.
Okay.
Understand nga defar ida dafa nekk for example tey man as a researcher man war naa mun a am the equipment pour ma mun a xool a situation ma pick all the patterns yi fa nekk jaxasoo as a researcher ma pick ko align ko ba wax la ne economy bi lii moo ko nekk di sonal.
Yeah.
Xam nga that's what research does. So loolu xelaat la. So da nga dem jàngam modèles yëpp te mënuloo xelaat ubbiwuloo sa brain bi nga mun a xelaat da ngaa gis ne yow jànga nga waaye xamuloo.
So you are saying in short that all these graduates, university from 2016 down the line, like we have been going to university, but we have not been, trained to think. We don't have the skills.
Yes. Research bi laa la nekk di wax xam nga research bi daf ne dañ def research. It says 2016 2019 graduates ñooñu la jël mu xool mu assess ñaata si nii ñoo nekk di liggéey directly si seen field si. Come for example, something that is how would I call it? It's like you learn economics, but you're working in something related to economics. Not directly related, but related. Then this is only 56% of out of all the graduates. It was only 45% new job in the first year. That means fi danga janga do am liggéey one.
Like you have the first year, graduate the first year am job.
Yes, it's only 45% of them new job during the first year. They graduate 2019. That 2019 only 45% new job.
Okay.
So now out of that 45%, it's only 56%. Ñoo nekk di liggéey ci lu nga xam ne is linked to what they've learned.
Out of that 45, only 46%.
56.
Okay.
ñoom ñu nekk di liggéey ci lu nga xam ne is directly linked to what they've learned.
Okay.
Yes, it's like you've studied economics, you're doing marketing, or you're doing economics, or you're doing something that is linked to what you've learned. Yes. But
let's say for example, you have somebody who studied political science but find himself at a bank.
Yeah, boobu moom dafa nekk ci 13%. Léegi bu ñu pay loolu ñu gis ne only 13% ñu def lu nga xam ne is totally what they've learned is only 13%.
Totally different.
Okay. Yes. So yow ko di wax noonu ki jàng political science mu gis boppam ci bank bi kooku noonu is out of the 56 because what he learned is not linked to what he's doing. Loolu dafa bëri Gambia da ngaa jàngal yi because soo paree economic pressure bi moo dee tax da nga wax ne okay lu ma am jël. You don't have the economic confidence. You don't have the economic muscle to wait for the right job. Because for example, nga jeexal sa yaay bi mu ngi laa xas amuloo liggéey yaa ngi confused mag yi ñu ngi laa laajte ku la daan joxaat na joxatuma la léegi yaa ngi am pressure yow economy nga jàng yaa ngi wut economic job. It's gonna take time before you find economic jobs nga toog rek ñu ne la ok am na koo xam ne de mu ngi bugg a am na benn clerk job wala am na benn records whatever da ngaa dem nga jël ko nga am fa benn 5,000 léegi su fa duggee na pour nga mun a génnaat si système boobu nga utal economic job dafaa nekk problème loolu daf ñu sonal trop in terms of how we think. How many you understand? So léegi li ma nekk di mooy university education is good, makes sense, because is the for example bu ma demee si university bi the last time I told them the reason why our thinking is not much impact by the way we are taught is because tey man maa ngi dem di def benn course waaye course boobu noonu has nothing to do. I asked the development students a question. What is the development logic bu Gambia di operationalize, and it was difficult for them to answer because yaa ngi def course about development, but there is no of the time that the lecturer will pick you from the class and introduce you to the developments of the Gambia, and that's supposed to be educational. You're supposed to be introduced to the level of development of your country so that as you are learning, you begin to see the odds. You begin to see the ill mind in development. So that's so that you already stupid enough to participate. But then,
you're saying those so many students at the university who are taught things that are not directly relevant to the realities of this country.
Obviously, so, and guess what, Sheriff? The Gambia have all the data. That's what they call government data. They have trade data. They have business registration data. They have law data. If you are learning law, what is stopping them from bringing all the cases and introduce you to them so that you understand the logic of if it is criminal law, trajectory. Understand that? That as economists, so they may university the last week MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, the last MPC, what were the tools they have used arrive at the 14% interest rate. The MPC, the monetary policy rate, how did they arrive at the 14%? Right now, it's the university examination question this semester should involve that question. If I was a lecturer, I would have involved that question. What were the mechanism utilized to arrive at the 14% monetary policy rate? But what is happening in the country is nothing to do with what happened in the country.
Back. So, thank you very much for that analysis. And I think it's worth looking at because it doesn't make any sense for anybody to be school at the university and at the end of the day you graduate and then what you have been taught has nothing to do with what you're doing at your workplace. And added to that, to have an education system, as you said, it's not giving us the skills, the ability to think and solve problems. Instead, it's just giving us to cram and then vomit it into on a piece of paper and then mark it, and then you have A. And at the end of the day, you're able to think and solve any problem of society. And I think that's not a sound education system. It needs to be changed. So, Abdul, welcome back. I know you've been struggling with your network, but with your connection, your internet. And now we only have almost 25 minutes more to wrap this up. So, what do you think as far as the role of African youth?
The system will not succeed. We will really break this system by the grace of God. The system has skipped.
Yeah. So what is our responsibility? What role must youth play in the liberation and transformation of Africa?
Yes, thank you. So, are you hearing me?
Yeah, we are getting you.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me back. Like I said, the system will not succeed. We are resilient people. We will come again and again and again by the grace of God. Yes. Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what was your question?
Huh?
What was your question?
Yeah, my question was, what role should the African youth play in liberation and transformation of African countries?
Yeah, thank you very much. The role that young people should play is to read history, is to read the history of Africa. You understand? After reading the history of Africa, or after reading the history of their own country, reading the history of Africa, they should also understand the history of the world. I think after understanding history, they should now ask the question: what is education to them? After asking themselves the particular question, I believe they must be able to consume the right education. After consuming the right education, it is their responsibility to spread that particular understanding of the education that they have acquired in making sure that they are able to decolonize the minds of the minds that are already being colonized. Because, we have to face reality and look at the system of education that the African countries have. The system of education that we have is a system that is created for the African child to continue being enslaved, for the African child to continue being colonized, for the African child to continue not questioning the system, not asking the right question and not making sure that they are able to participate in the development. I mean, in the development of their country and the continent. So I believe the role that the young African should play is to make sure that he is able to participate in the political space by making sure that the ideology of the Pan-African principle is able to be echoed properly, so that every individual can hear it. Not also by making sure that every young person is able to hear it and every person in the continent is able to hear it, but also to participate in the action of the Pan-African agenda. And by saying that is, xam nga comme ñun ñëpp fan lañ nekk tey comme ni ma koy waxee rek ma ne there is this poet that I've written a book called The Leader and the Led. The Leader and the Led. I don't know whether you have read the poem. The Leader and the Led. It was written by this poet. I forgot the name. He's an African. And I want to paraphrase what he said in his last line in the last stanza of the poem. He said, the followers must prepare to lead. The young people in Africa must prepare to lead. And in preparing to lead, it takes a lot. Meaning, first you must fight your own self. You must fight your own self. The moment you defeat yourself, then you are able to win the project that you want to fight at national and continental level. So for me, that's what I believe in. Ñun suñu boppa noo war a xee suñu boppa. Ben ñun suñu boppa suñu winee suñu boppa ñun as individual nit ki da nga war a xee sa boppa. Moo nekk soo demee si diine la ñu laa wane da nga war a xee sa nafs sa bakkan. Mi mel ni tey, I don't want to jump into that. But if I am to make, because I believe I am a positive individual. I'm a positive one individual. I want to be positive up to whatever comes next. Like, for example, look at Senegal. What is happening in Senegal right now? You understand? These are examples of young people in Africa. Am I communicating with you? Platform. Yeah. So young people in Africa must be selfless. Then what of the Yamansan, warata nangu nguur mu damasul loxo wala damasul dignity. Yamansan, loolu noonu dafa important. Moo nekk sa kaddu poste da nga ko war a sàmm. So loolu noonu dafa nekk loo xamante ne dafa important si lan la nekk di gis bi Sénégal. You understand? Moo nekk nit ki da nga war a mandu. Nit ki da nga war a sàmm sa kaddu looloo wax démba. Mu nekk ne ñëwloo si nguur sax mu nekk looloo wax démba. Na mesone mu méngoo ak loo nekk di wax tey. Because sooy xool hypocrisy si diine mu nekk koo xamante ne def yële foog naa ne loolu noonu soo ko hypocrisie la mooy loolu noonu waaw young african bi warta hypocrite waaw young african bi warta hypocrite so loolu understand
people must not for example in the public you say this and in the private you do something different. This is what we have agreed on, then later on you swap and then you do your own thing.
No, consistency is very important. And we should not call those kind of things politics. The African child, the young person must be honest.
But and people are saying, that's politics. Naturally, politics things happen like that.
One thing is when we are all students of Pan Africanism, you understand, and Pan African principles and agenda. We have read what Kwame Nkrumah has said, and before Kwame Nkrumah even, we have read Pixley Saik Assembly. We have read Marcus Garvey. You understand that? We have read a lot of philosophers. ñoo xamante ne tey contribute nañ si Pan African principle bi. yaa ma understand? tey lu Kwame Nkrumah yëpp di wax because tey ñun suñu waxee Pan Africanism rek ne ye jël moo référence si Kwame Nkrumah because dafa bokk si ñu ko fisal ak ñu ko téye si ñun ñoo xamante ne noo war a ñëw next si génération boobu noonu because Kwame Nkrumah rombul ak suñu génération yaa ma understand la ma nekk wax ni si soo ko xoolee noonu si century bi yaa ma understand soo léegi soo xoolee loolu noonu suñu waxee politique suñu la politique ay affaire yi naxante la yaa ma understand moo nekk comme ni nga wax ne politicien bi fenkat la yaa ma understand loolu noonu la gars yi identifié politicien bi waaye loolu nekkul dëgg.
It's like people are saying, okay, since politics is all about lying and deceiving and then saying things and then at the end of the day you don't do anything about it. It's just deception. That's what you are telling people, and you are encouraging that idea.
Thank you very much. That's the point. Now you see leaders that we look up to, leaders that the young people look up to, leaders that are leading countries. You understand? I'm telling the younger generation, they are telling their children, you understand, and their grandchildren and their great grandchildren that lying is normal.
It's normal, yeah, in politics. Lying is a lie.
No, I'm not like that. No, I'm not. One thing is, you ask very important. What is the role of the young people? You understand? That's good. Now, level politics. You are saying lying is normal, despite that you're politician, single political, but you are saying lying is normal because then you, as an individual, you are a liar.
Yeah, because you have lies. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you come and say A to people and you do B, but ñun ñëpp ay bari tey ñun ñëpp mu nekk Christian mu nekk Muslim yaa man san fépp yonente bu ñëw tey si ñun yonente bi def na politique ama yàlla maa dégg waaw fépp yonente bu ñëw yonente bi def na politique yaa man san ma nekk yonente bi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam def na politique lii da la def na politique yaa man san ma nekk banding na ak people of the courage Yamana Sala Manekere, banding na ak romance. Yamana Sala Manekere, c'est time. I'm not that diplomatic relationship with other ñoo xamantene tay bu even bu demé Medina more juicy ci bopam. You remember that particular, if I would say even it is a constitution or not, I remember there was a constitution that was done in Medina at that period of time when the Prophet went there to coexist with the Jews. The politics.
Yeah.
The Monica politics in our contemporary society is where individuals and collective decisions are made. More politics. Voilà.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
and I think to summarize,
I want to summarize here. Mom, yeah, I'm not going to use pour mu wone examples te moom bu mu def politique boolewu ko ak fen dafa ne politique si diggu nga ko teg despite the fact that betray nañ ko waat si diggu nga ko def then the young people must be honest comme man ma koy wax even now laa nekk di wax de ñun suñu bopp tey movement yi noo form yëpp in Africa movement yi noo form yëpp biir Gambia organisation seen leen nekka place leen nekka will determine what we become tomorrow. We have to be honest there. Honest is part where we are standing there.
Yeah.
So that is it. Like, what the young people should do, I said the young people must be honest and consistent.
Thank you very
Because
much. Young
politics
people
is
should be
about
honest
ideas
and
and
consistent.
consistent.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's
Basil,
it.
you had Mr. Ba saying he's advising young people because he's in reference to what happened in Senegal. Because observed Jomai and Sonko have been working together for the project of liberating Senegal from France and also establish a new country. But at the end of the day, you see what happened. They are no more in the same project. So he's saying that we must not allow the politics of deception, politics of lies, where anybody can stand in platform and make promises, and everybody you get to power, do whatever you want to do, and then people start clap for you, say that's politics. They're encouraging lies and deception and all kind of manipulation. So, in your view, if you are to give a recommended solution as to what young people must do at this time, what should that be?
Thank you very much, both of you. And I think consistency and honesty, I think these are the words, and Mr. Bayer have just said it. Sirif, consistency, xam nga lan la moy firi doomu aadama yàlla daf ko binda def ci moom làmmeñ def ci moom xol làmmeñ bi dafa war a dëppoo ak xol bi kooku muy nit lii génn sa làmmeñ bi dafa war a da nga war a ensure balaa nga ko wax mu dëppoo ak li nekk ci xol bi lii moo la divine na lii kii mooy doomu aadama keneen ki moom dañ ko gis muy doomu aadama rek waaye nekkut ko léegi nag soo ñëwee si in the context of problème bi nii yëpp mooy ñun dañ xamul lan mooy youth te define nuñ ko properly xam nga lan mooy youth ndaw mooy ki nga xam ne mu ngi nekk si transition.
Explain, what do you mean transition?
waaw xam nga ñaari phases ñu am xale moo am ndaw ak mag ndaw mooy ki nga xam ne moo nekk si digga bi moo tax yàlla sax bi ma wax si naasi mu ne qul a'uuzu bi rabbi naasi maliki naasi ilaahi naasi ñetta yi la indi yàllaay ndaw yi yàllaay xale yi yàllaay paa yi because lii rek mooy sa àdduna sa dund yëpp is mooy bi nga nekkee xale bi nga nekkee ndaw bi nga nekkee mag léegi ndaw nag mooy ki nga xam ne moom moo nekk si diggante moom mooy pick value si from yu mag yi téye ko su xale yi ñëw mu jox leen ko kii mooy ndaw moo nekk di receive the virtues jikko yu baax yi jikko yu rafet yi ci mag yi téye ko ba pare xaar ba xale yi ñëw mu jox leen ko fekk time boobu moom move na to the next stage nekk pa kon kooku dafa war a consistent kooku dafa war a
so it's like he's the pillar of the society sort of
mooy affaire bi moom moo nekk si digga bi moo ko téye moo tax ndaw ku ko caaxaane yow da nga xamut lan mooy ndaw moo tax benn philosophe daf ne dëkk su baaxee rek ndaw yi ñoo ko baaxal waaye mu ne waxuma ndaw yëpp de ndaw yu déggu ndaw yu am xam-xam because ki nga xam ne moo war a téye baatin bi kooku war naa xam naka la ban loxo la ko war a receiver kooku lan la ko war a laajtee lu nga xam ne daf ko war a téye pour pass ko to the next generation kon ndaw lu am solo la léegi nag solution bi mooy Sirif su fekkoon ne defarkat yi aéroplane bi ingénieur bi su fekkoon ne ingénieur bi dafa wax ne dafa build aéroplane bi ba nga xam ne moom foog nga nekk ingénieur pour dawal aéroplane kon Sirif ñun ñu bari duñ tukki de because how many engineers are there but then they simplify the engineering concept def ko si benn botin soo ko laalee rek mu def the engineering function so we don't need to be all superman to be leaders dañ war a am systems yu nga xam ne dafa simplify leadership ba nga xam ne Sirif war naa mun a lead man mën naa lead Abdou war naa mun a lead dañ war a bàyyi di jël yëpp di ko dugal si benn nit diw parce que démb rek am na ku ma gis si Facebook bi mu ne diw ak diw ñoo mën a yóbbu Gambia non nañ am a design well simplified ba nga xam ne pilot si nekkuñ engineers naka la tuddati a Sirif Abdou the pilots are not engineers but they ensure the engineers they simplify ba nga xam ne everybody who gets to the aeroplane with a manual understand the logics of fly you can fly the aeroplane That is why when we believe for national transformation, to have an ideology. I'm
So
very
you're
sorry.
saying that, yeah,
I'm very
you're saying
sorry.
that,
Huh?
you're saying that we should have a governance manual, like whoever is to be sitting in that position,
Yeah,
you already
you do it.
understand that this is the manual you are following. This is not something
Obviously.
that you. Okay.
Yes, Sonko and Jomai no more nigga issue. Sonko more understand the logic of the project. Jomai then go for tech. So they're confused because they also did very good job in having the theories right, but they forget to have a simplified design. Class
So that whoever is there, then you able to carry out the function. Okay.
Because then I this Jomai therefore fear because Sonko more nigga funny never go but mom he knows better than him. The mom he cannot be Sonko. So why them among a design? So fuck jealous dafa ñew fuck class dafa ñew so fuck ñun lolo tax sa mané gaay né amna ben movement bu dék ci dëkk bi ñu ko wax unite dama né gaay né look I told somebody I'm not here attacking anybody I'm just doing a logic I told some two people why do you join the movement mune because mané ko okay tell me the model that they have sold to you buñ la jaay ba nga dem fofu mune ma xamul model mané ko then you are buying a strong man first of all da nga need an ideology clear bo amé an ideology you need a design a model lan nga def simplified ba nga xamné suma fa nekké def ko suma firif nekké def ko su fa abdou nekké ku fa nekké def ko simplified then you
the entire concept the entire ideology of a party or a political movement must be narrowed down to the most simplified form that anybody can pick it up and carry out with that.
That's it. Africa lole nyaka. When these experts go, they go with everything. We have to start square one. Let us take the habit of designing whole America when they this 270 electoral votes. Kuko am win. You cannot capture the election because then I'm being a system is simplified. Kunyo balanga neka president the community mod endorse you and that community it's a community voting. It's not like the capture of democracy. Anybody can vote. Even the intellectual have equal amount of voice in who becomes president. That is why in the go and give them money.
Are you saying like for example, let's say the Iranian system where if like you're killing one leader that doesn't mean anything.
Thank you, Sirif. Thank you. They're still going.
Yeah, they still have to move on. So killing one person doesn't mean anything. Things have to flow.
That is why our complaint is our point is we need a good design. It should not be revolutionary feeling. Dama gom ne rek man bëgg naa nekk président dinaa ko def déedéet that's gambling. So demee na nga fekk système bi mu set up ñu bil ko ba nga xam ne yow da ngaa dem ñu twist sa am bi you cannot do the work lan ngaa def. My friend, we have enough data, we have enough samples, we have enough examples. We've lived it to have to learn from those and better our generation. And that is
so you mean that like we should have a system for us, but even if individual level, even if somebody has to come and bend your hand, it's not possible because you are already disciplined enough. You understand where we are heading, so there's nothing that anybody can do to make you change direction.
Thank you, Sirif. I think you said it all. That is it. Once we have that, we are good. And that is why BNT, first of all, Johma ideology. I'm going to call Johma design. Johma how to organize it so that we know who should do what. How do we account people that are responsible? Being parallel, then you go to mobilization, then you select a leader. That is why I believe BNT is BNT for the Gambia. And we are waiting for everything to be in place so that we select our leader, new them. Koku. The model itself more constrained. So you cannot.
Because I understand. Let's look at this. When Senegal, these guys came, they found out a huge job that is already lying for them to settle, right? And when they wanted to, be defiant about the IMF regulations and conditions, but IMF has to seize almost 1.8, billion US, right? And that is already affecting Senegal. So now, in your case, you're coming to this country. Let's say, for example, now BNT is coming to be the leader of this country, and now you find now we already have $120 billion in there, and then the IMF is also leveraging your debt, and now you probably say you're going to buy IMF conditions economically. So they say, okay, we're going to seize some of your, credit worth values or currencies. What do you do? So I say it's gonna be very, very, very difficult.
Okay. Now that is still that has nothing to do with the design, Serif.
Okay.
That is still a kind of the operationalization of the country. That is not the design. Xam nga yàlla bu mu bindee doomu aadama ma jox la design bi. Yàlla dafa jël doomu aadama mu indi four bi mooy your spirit, your soul. When you are sleeping, what goes off? What goes away for you to sleep? Like that energy will keep vision, hearing, talking, sense of smell and all that. Look, that energy bukote, that's what they call soul. The energy bute nokibi, that's what they call spirit. Then mu in the physical part, and then mu in the heart now, pour mu connect everything. So this is a design. So legi design bi buko yalla binde. Bindalu ko doomu adama kese, even so demé ci garab bi sa the same design la. Because garab bi dafa am lan, you have to have the roots, the stem, the leaves, and then mu flower, then you have the fruits will come. So that design, it is what is on the ground. If you go to the ground, what would you have? You have the water, you have the air, you have the rocks, and then you have the sand. You go to the skies, you have the sun, the moon, the stars, and the clouds.
Is it more of the structure, right? We talk about the skeletal system.
Yes, that's a design. Bu yalla tek bu nga xamne lu bu ko def rek li la dey apply rek lolu am. So do they am problem? So design mo neka the structural framework bi nga xamne yow ya ko tek nga xamne nit you cannot operationalize the country without using this framework. Lima la neka di wax ni nak ñun buñ starté research bi, we've seen that in Africa amu fi. Non in Africa lu fi dee am mooy yéena dëkk yi ñoo dee gën a lokki yeneen dëkk yi rek ñu gamble to have a leader bu nga xam ne he mean business mu shift country bi foo dee xamee ne amuñ design mooy kooku su fa jógee rek they get to the same mess. So problème yi Afrique la problème yi Gambie la problème yi Sénégal la so léegi gis nga yow loo nekk di affaire yi IMF loolu it's you have a framework, it comes. If IMF come and withdraw, because I don't even agree with Senegal when it comes to pushing them. You don't force things out. You have to allow things to move. Gis nga doomu adama because yàlla bindee Sirif gëru doo gër rek daw dangaa tëdda nga dem ba si kanam nga toog nga dem ba si kanam nga raam nga dem ba si kanam nga taxaw nga dem ba si kanam nga dox nga dem ba si kanam nga daw. Things should be gradual. Man, I'm in economics. What they've taught me, it's economic growth means steady. It has to be steady. Tey Sirif soo tóoboon tóob rek am fi ay billion damaa xam ne am na foo ko jël da nga ko sàcca foog nga war a mun a am bicycle nga am rider nga am auto nga am ay auto then nga am ay whatever. So it has to be Sénégal doo mun a tóob rek quit from IMF. It has to be loolu yëpp ñàkk a design la. So
now if you look at Burkina, you look at Burkina Faso when now Bamayo, when you look at Burkina Faso when the Trana came, that was just a shift quite quickly. Okay. It has to destroy all of the
Sirif.
But
Sirif. Sirif, how much I talk about PNT? Basiru.
Wow.
This is a discussion that we are going to have live.
Yeah.
Okay.
We like a live audience.
Okay.
We have to organize this.
Definitely.
In celebration. No, my guys look around. Because man am na koo xamante ne agree wu ma fa ak Basiru.
Okay.
Yaa ma dégg.
Okay.
Oh.
Yaa ma dégg Sirif.
Yeah, I think we should have another session for this issue so that we can discuss the entire architecture. Yeah, ñu la dégg quoi.
Waa ñu ngi laa dégg Abdou.
Yàlla dégg.
Waa ñu ngi laa dégg bu baax.
But ñu la dégg quoi Ali Abdou.
Ñu ngi laa dégg.
Waaw ma ne man am na foo xamante ne agree wu ma fa ak Basiru.
Okay.
Am na foo xamante ne agree wu ma fa ak Basiru. I think ñun we need to have dinañ ko organize ñun ñetta nu organize benn live audience. Xaw ma fa ko amee mu ne ko amee si monument bi. Waaw mu ne ko amee si monument bi. Mu ne ko amee monument wala nu amee ko I don't know man monument bi laa nekk ni boo xamante live audience la we all have audience understand nga balaa school di ubbi nii balaa school di ubbi I think we can do something. Or school should be before Saturday. I think we can do something about this, and we discuss in celebration of the African Liberation Day. Because ni gabi ni in celebration of the African Liberation Day, and discuss about it because man agree with to a certain extent with PNP because hey, I'm not going into office. Man, I believe ne positive have a design sort of. Muna man mo design dina hala uti. Man believe na ne ga am nen design, am nen an agenda. Like nu guys bin na ne ñu suñ ñëwé ñu la no démé. Understand nga? So how man nak how ma BNT muna no hala uti fofu man fokk na ne ga am nen design.
No, they have no ñom liñ am
amna waye man IMF nga ñëw waaye yaa ngi wax ne pour ñëw naka man I believe ne soo ñëwee amul nanga IMF dégg la léegi da ngaa ñëw di maslaha ak yu demee noonu lu ma wax tamit dégg la waaye I believe ne sometimes nga ñëw you have to just implement, you have to move because now there is a law of attraction. There is law of attraction, and I don't need to decipher it because person knows about it. With law of attraction, gis nga the moment nga ñëw foofu noonu and you condone it, nga jox loolu noonu benn space mu mun a breathe rek moo nekk daf la infiltrate. You cannot want to do away with virus. Nga ne nanga koo accommodate fekk yaa ma understand? The virus spreads. You understand? What you need to do one the ñëwee yow xam nga ne there is virus in your house and you want to come there before you arrive wala soo arrive rek utal spray. You don't need to negotiate with the virus. Spray al néeg bi.
Yeah, so
wow, man loolu laa ko.
Abdou, the only thing I think we are saying the same thing. I think we are saying the same thing, Abdou, because li xew mooy IMF they are in touch with China, but China dafa am a model bu nga xam ne gars yi bu ñëwee they structure themselves in that line. IMF is dealing with Singapore, IMF is dealing with Japan, so it's not like ne ñoom virus lañ, but ñoom they are just exploiting us because ñun amuñ a design. So léegi li ma miin mooy yow soo ñëwee da nga am sa design boobu nga force IMF to operate on, and then you need to have it's not going to accept them in any way. For example, you come up with a circle, ka fekk ma am a square hole. Dama la wax ne go and carve your circle so that it fits in my hole. Dama la reject. Because soo ko rejecté léegi da ngaa gis ne dafa ñëw ci forcé te boobu I'm scared. Xam nga
but the thing is like IMF is not coming because remember the IMF does not need much from you. You are the one who is already indebted to IMF, and IMF will want you to come and subscribe to its own terms and conditions. So therefore, it's not,
if you read the agreements of agreements, is there. And China also is with IMF. And IMF is not, dealing with China the way IMF is dealing with African countries. Why? Because China, these are more or less a socialist.
China, but when you are dealing with China, you are dealing with almost 2 billion people. That's what you are dealing with.
No, but China,
and now you're dealing with
China, when they were dealing with IMF, they were very fragile like African countries. It's just that they have a good design. When IMF come, they ensure that IMF adopted that design. It's just like
but they had a revolution. But they had a very tense revolution. Chairman Mao was doing all the kind of crazy things, the cultural revolution and all that stuff, and changing the entire dynamics of politics and economy, everything.
No, but the answer to the question is Chairman Mao. What he did well was to ensure that Chinese can think, Chinese are healthy, and Chinese have skills to produce. Because once you start to bring that model, that bottom up, China am a policy. They don't do like the Gambia. You invite an expert from IMF, Mubinda land policy. No, they will tax all the local government, councils. Pour you look for a model, it suits their people. After Lulu, when each of the local governments do a study, a pilot, they test it. Each of them are successful. That is what they're going to take implement it in that area, and if it works now, they replicate it. China don't test things before implementing it. In Gambia, we sit in a house, an expert come, draft us a policy, and then here it's the policy. So policy is not in line with our cultural, it's not in line with our economic situation. So because structure IMF might not even pay attention to a structure. Because once they come, IMF are very good listeners. They come and say, okay, but to you've accepted the conventional education. You yourself don't understand the conventional education, and now they become the leaders. Go to the IMF meetings. I've attended some of them. We all listen, and they tell us what to do. If you go to China,
but we're almost done. Time is almost 1 hour 30 minutes. So we just add another 5 minutes. We'll have another 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll have another 5 minutes.
Islam has design. Abdul.
Yeah, but we have time is up, so we will just need 5 more minutes. And I'll give you
for one reason, I believe this should be, we are going to have a debate.
Yeah, we're gonna have a debate on this.
I want to conclude by saying I am not trusting the ideologies of Basiru anymore to a certain extent. Yes, I am calling Basiru for a debate on this IMF thing. That because so the moment these words that Basiru is using they are a good listener and all those stuff. The Western people are good listeners. They pretend as if they are listening. You understand that?
Okay,
they already have their design.
Yes, so we'll have a debate.
They already have their design. They are dictators. They impose on us. It's a how to call it, a superior mentality.
Abdul, what is going to be
that is the point. We are inferior to them.
What is going to be the debate?
I do not trust what.
No, we don't have a debate.
I don't trust IMF.
Yeah, the debate is.
I don't trust them.
Abdul, if you come to our model,
we need to take this to the Bantaba.
No, but I want us to take something in the Bantaba that is resonate with BNT. In BNT, we said no to IMF, no to World Bank. I think what I'm saying is the approach in which we should take. That's what BNT is. If you go to our why change is inevitable, you go to why the book we've written on the national identity, you find we go against IMF on all angles. IMF is what result to Africans going down. I agree with you 100%. What I am saying is, you don't just come and say stop. You do
now what we're gonna do is
in a very strategic way. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have another part. We're gonna have another discussion. We have to have a debate on economic models or political models as to against the existing one with what BND has. So that now we can have that broader discussion, including IMF, World Bank, because you reject them already, and we see you're rejecting them. What are the consequences of rejecting them as we speak? So we will discuss all that. But finally, your final remark. Yeah, I'll give Abdul you give your final statement. We'll come back. We'll come back for the debate. We'll come back for the debate. Yeah, your final remark, Abdul.
My final remark is to say, thank you to all of us and those that are also listening and following. Just to do a solution, I would say, thank you to every individual, like all of you and all that stuff. And just to say, this is what we need, as you said earlier on, what should the young people do in Africa? We need to do this. I'm suggesting that we need to work together more. BNP, we all, need to sit and make sure that we're able to have a consistent discussion about the country, you understand, and the continent, especially in bringing models to see how do we solve our economic issue, how do we solve our political issue, and how do we solve our educational issue, because these three pillars are the most important thing when it comes to the development of a particular country. And I believe what we are saying on YouTube here needs a wider audience for people to be able to get it. We are 2.7 million. And we all have traveled across the country. When you travel to the rural area, you see that young people are really ignorant about what development and what politics and how to develop this country is all about. You understand? And I believe that claim, you understand, that we have understanding needs to take this out there, Let's do a collaboration. Let's collaborate with the medias. Let them sort this out. Like, these are the discussions that is needed out there. But you direct audience very good. You understand?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's important for young people like-minded to come together and do something that is meaningful. So thank you very much, Abdul. We'll discuss more on that.
Yeah,
that
is needed. I believe sometimes the thing that time we have.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you very much. Basiru, your conclusion.
Yeah, I think I thank all of you for the the exchange. I think it was very healthy, and I think what we are just saying is we establish belief for national transformation to ensure that we call Gambian youths. In fact, this is what we are even planning. This is what we are calling for. So that let us feel the challenge. Let us meet with people that see things in a different way, and then we try to harmonize our thoughts. The more we do this, just like what Abdul is saying, the better we are getting into the right thing. We have, like I said, education is about harmonizing of thoughts, and education, there's no platform to educate than this type of platform, because you have people that are exposed to a lot of things. They're coming together and deliberate on things, and I think I cannot thank you enough. I thank also the BNT team for the good job that they're doing out there. And then Mr. Ba, I think we have a session around BNT, and I think despite you were saying, we have a divergent view concerning the IMF and World Bank, but I think you cannot be how BNT perceive these guys. They're just like a delay, a hook dragging Africa backward. But I think we have an opportunity.
We'll have a delay for that. We'll have another one for that. Thank you very much, Basiru. Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much, Abdul. So that's it. That's what we have for you today. And tonight's discussion was all about reflecting on the liberation of Africa and how far Africa can go, because according to the entire discussion, we have gone far from looking at the neocolonialism, talked about leadership, talked about the mindset of the people, talked about we don't just need the resources, we need the skills, we need the competence of people, we need young people to also to be very consistent and honest in dealing with each other, and also politicians must not just be encouraged to lie to the public and also clap for them for lying and support them for continue to do what they are doing. So that is what we do. We thank Honorable Ba. Thank you, Mr. Jai, for being there, and also we thank you those watching. Until we come another one, we'll keep doing this to continue the conversation. To tell you, this is Breaking the Chains, and I am Sir Jai. Thank you very much. Yeah.